What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, in this particular video, I want to talk about one of the more underrated basketball greats of his time, that being Charlie Scott. Um, Charlie Scott's name doesn't get brought up as much as, say, it used to, I'd say, back in the 70s and 80s. Generations have gone by, in his NBA career, his numbers didn't match his ABA numbers. But he had the right mindset, in my opinion, because Charlie Scott showed the difference. He was a guy that was an example of what players in the past were all about. They didn't want to be on teams shooting the ball 20, 25 times, leading the league in scoring, but missing the playoffs all the time. They wanted to be part of a winning organization. They wanted to win, right? That's not to knock guys who were great scorers, but even those guys, they want to win. Whereas these guys today, they want to be praised for their performances, praised for their numbers, make a lot of money, but don't want to face any criticism. So Charlie Scott, truly one of the great players of his era and one of the great players of all time. He was born in 1948 in New York City, New York. He grew up primarily in Harlem, New York. He eventually grew to be 6'5" and about 175, 180 pounds. He attended Stuyvesant High School in New York City for 1 year before transferring to Laurinburg Institute in Laurinburg, North Carolina. Scott transferred to Laurinburg, which was famous at the time for preparing basketball players for college. Scott was valedictorian of his high school senior class, so he was a smart cat. He was also a legend at Rucker Park. While in high school, Scott spent one summer at a basketball program at Davidson College with future Maryland legend Lefty Driesell. Driesell recruited Scott, who was accepted for early admission at Davidson. However, Scott also explored Duke University, North Carolina State University, University of North Carolina Chapel Hill, and Wake Forest University at the suggestion of his coach at Laurinburg. He ultimately accepted the offer to play at UNC because he felt that, as a larger public university, it would be more open to a black player, quote, breaking the color barrier. Scott played college basketball at the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill, where he was the first black scholarship athlete. Scott averaged 22.1 points and 7.1 rebounds per game at UNC, and a career-best 27.1 points per game in his senior season. He was a two-time All-American and a three-time All-Atlantic Coast Conference selection. Scott led UNC to their second and third consecutive NCAA Final Four appearances in 1968 and 1969. In addition to breaking the color barrier in UNC basketball, he was also the first African American to pledge a fraternity at UNC, accepting an offer to join St. Anthony Hall in 1967. However, after 3 weeks after pledging, withdrew from the fraternity because of his demanding basketball schedule. He was a gold medalist at the 1968 Summer Olympics, playing for the 1968 United States men's Olympic basketball team. Scott was the fourth leading scorer on the team, 8 points per game, coached by Henry Iba. Scott was drafted by the Boston Celtics in 1970, but he had already signed a contract with the Virginia Squires of the ABA. Scott was named ABA Rookie of the Year after averaging 27.1 points per game. During his second season with the Squires, he set the ABA record for highest scoring average in one season, 34.6 points per game. However, he became dissatisfied with life in the ABA and joined the NBA's Phoenix Suns in 1972. The Suns traded Paul Silas to the Celtics after the season in order to keep him. At that point, he briefly went by the name Shahid Abdul-Alim. Scott continued his stellar play in the NBA, representing the Suns in 3 straight NBA All-Star games, 73, 74, and 75. Then was traded to the Boston Celtics for Paul Westphal and 2 draft picks. With the Celtics in the 1975-76 NBA season, Scott won a championship ring against the Suns. Scott later played for the LA Lakers and Denver Nuggets. He retired in 1980 with 14,837 combined ABA-NBA points. He was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018. As far as his resume is concerned, he's an NBA champion, 3-time NBA All-Star, 2-time ABA All-Star, which makes him a 5-time All-Star, All-NBA First Team, All-ABA Second Team, was the ABA Rookie of the Year, won the ABA scoring title in 1972, ABA All-Rookie First Team in 1971, is on the ABA All-Time Team, 2-time Consensus First Team All-American 69 and 70, ACC Athlete of the Year in 1970, 3 times First Team All-ACC 68, 69, and 70. Career averages of 20.7 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 4.9 assists per game. He's also in the College Basketball Hall of Fame, having been inducted there in 2015. For his career, he shot about 44.8% from the floor, 77.3% from the charity stripe. Was not a good three-point shooter, but then again, that was the 70s, so it didn't really matter. His numbers in the NBA are far different from his numbers in the ABA. Because he played on good teams, because he played with Boston, and Boston's more of a team-oriented, score-by-committee type team. And the NBA, and Phoenix was something like that to a lesser extent. In the NBA, he averaged 17.9 points, still great. 17.9 points, 3.6 rebounds, 4.8 assists. But in the ABA, Scott averaged 30.6 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, 5.2 assists. And he shot close to 46% from the floor in the ABA. A remarkable player, remarkable scorer. Charlie Scott, one of the unsungs in today's NBA. The fact that people don't know about these guys, man, it just goes to show you how terrible a job today's market does in educating fans about the players of the past. They do a terrible job, man. Tell me what you guys think.